Hey there, time for another cooking tip. Today we're going to talk about green onions, bell pepper, and bacon. Ooh, yes, love some bacon. No, I'm not going to do some weird trilogy combination with those three things, although that would be awesome. What we're going to, wow, my lids just fell in the drawer in front of me. That was very weird. But anyway, let's get busy. So what we're going to talk about today has to do with prepping. And I know that's a big thing all over the internet and has been for a long time. People talking about meal prep. And I don't mean the kind of meal prep where you put rubber chicken and rubber green beans in a little plastic container and stick it in your refrigerator and you eat 6 of those through the week, or 7, I guess there are 7 days. I'm talking the kind where you're prepping things to be ready to cook meals for yourself and your family and your friends. So I'm a big proponent of prepping ingredients and having things ready, like the roasted garlic, the trilogy, and then what I'm going to show you here today. Anything you can do in bulk ahead of time makes the actual meal preparation so much quicker. And for a busy person cooking, I always want to say a busy mom, and I know I'm not only talking to moms, but that's just kind of where I come from. A busy mom cooking, getting a quick, nutritious meal on the table is super duper important. So I'm going to show you a couple things. And ooh, these green onions are not the prettiest in the world. But anywho, I'm gonna flip it down here and show you a little bit. And this is gonna be less demonstration probably and more instruction, just because of the type of thing it is. But anyway, let me flip this down and I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, so I had a bunch of green beans. I already chopped up one. There it is right there. So on these, we're just gonna take the tips. Remember, I waste nothing. Ingredients are important. Organic, please, if at all possible, or even better, grow it yourself. So, you're investing in quality ingredients, so don't waste anything. So when we come around here, like I said, that bunch was a whole lot prettier than this one. So I'm going to take this first layer off because you see that one's kind of, oh, there it is. It's kind of ick. And then just cut the tips off. That's a little mangled. We'll throw that guy over there. Let's see. These are not the best. Sorry about that. I should have looked first and cut up the other one because this one's kind of yuck. I mean, it'll be just perfectly fine. I'm belly aching, so y'all ignore me. But it just doesn't look as pretty. And the other thing, these green onions are a little bigger than a lot of times. I like the smaller ones, typically. But, you get what you can get a lot of the time when you're getting your food. Whether you're in the grocery store or you're getting from a farmer. I remember we talked about before, ugly produce. It's all about some ugly produce, but there's a difference in ugly and it's been wet and cold and wilted and gross. All right, this one doesn't look too bad. We'll just take these ends off. That's good. Take that guy off. All right, I'm gonna pause for just a second, run to the sink and wash these babies off, and then I'll be back. Okay, we're back. I took these and split them down the middle just because these green onions are a little bit big. And, like I've said 1,000 times, it's your kitchen, do what you want to do. I just usually have smaller green onions or prefer that. So if I do wind up with bigger ones, I just split them down the middle so that they're a little bit smaller in the food. And then you're just going to cut them up. I mean, see, this is so easy. And it doesn't really matter the size. Your kitchen, your choice. What we're gonna do with this is have it ready anytime we need green onions in a recipe. But I'll get to a little more details on that in a minute. And no, I'm not using any fancy knife techniques here. I'm not doing the bend your fingers, you don't cut them, blah, blah, blah thing. If you go to culinary school, that's what you're gonna learn. But I'm just cutting. I figure if you have a knife and you don't cut yourself, then you have knife skills. So anywho, we're just gonna go along like this. And I get, like I mentioned earlier, as much as I can get. I want it all. I don't want to put anything in the trash that I don't have to. Waste as little as possible. When you're using these later, and we'll talk about that in a bit, if you have a recipe that calls for 1-inch pieces of green onion, well, heck, that looks like 1 inch to me. No, I'm kidding. I know it really doesn't. But it doesn't matter. I am more interested in, number one, nutrition in my food, and number two, flavor. You know, I want the flavor, by golly, that's really important, but the nutrition is most important, and how quick I can get things prepared and ready to go. I mean, think about it. I own a little restaurant, so we're trying to get food going quickly. I'm not taking my time. I don't have time to take my time. I got to get stuff on the table fast. So that's my goal. So if you have a little bitty chunk of green onion versus a, let's get this guy back up here, versus, you know, a 1-inch piece, your taste buds nor your digestive tract, as your body is breaking that food down to feed the rest of your systems and your cells, is going to care. I mean, they're, you know, it's not like you're going to wind up passing that through, if you know what I mean, because it's not a 1-inch piece. So just cut it all up. I do it small, and then I can use it wherever I want to use it. So we'll come back to what we're going to do with that next. Now let's talk about bell pepper. Not a huge fan of bell pepper, and I cook with it a lot, which sounds weird, because I think it, personally, it adds a good complementary flavor to things. But as far as getting food that has bell pepper as a primary flavor, gross no. Don't give me a stuffed bell pepper, I'll throw it at you. So let's go down here, chop up our bell pepper real quick. There's another fancy technique where you slice the end off and you stand it up and you shave down the sides, and to me you lose half the bell pepper that way. I don't like to do that. So I cut mine in half, take the tip of my knife carefully, cut that out, get your little irritating seeds flying everywhere. Yes, they're very irritating. Cutting a little white out, and then, you know, knock all those babies out, and then get on with the rest of the cutting. So I will do that here. God, I got to get these knives sharpened. They're terrible. I told my husband the other day, I need you to sharpen my knives. He's like, well, I just did that. I was like, yeah, I just washed your socks, but I'm doing that again too, so come on. Hook a girl up. All right, I'll set this to the side. Get these seeds out of here. And the seeds aren't going to hurt a thing. If you wind up with seeds in your food, again, it doesn't matter. It's all food. It's all nutrition. God made it. It's fine. I just try to get most of them out. So for the bell pepper, man, I'm tongue-tied today. We're going to go down like this, cut it in little strips, and then just do like this. And like you will get tired of hearing me say, it's your kitchen, do what you want to do. If you want to do big chunks, do you some big chunks. If you want little microscopic pieces and take that much time, do it. Whatever works for you. Because when it gets to using this stuff in recipes, it's about the volume it's calling for, not, about got my fingernail with that one, not how it's cut. And don't get me wrong, there may be somebody out there who, a real chef, who's like cringing and gagging over everything I'm saying. It can matter as far as, you know, texture of the food and presentation and all that. I don't give a flip about presentation, because that's not going to nourish my body or tickle my taste buds. I mean, it makes my eyes brighten up, but my eyes don't feed my body. So I don't worry too much about it. And as far as texture, it isn't going to make that big of a difference unless you're serving it raw. So anyway, again, my opinion for what that's worth. Knock those guys out. All right, I'm going to pause this and finish up this bell pepper and then come back for the last piece. Okay, real quick before I get into cutting up the rest of these bell peppers off camera, of course, I want to show y'all something. This is that one bell pepper that I cut up. You know how I do my onions? A medium onion is about a cup. Well, that's the way bell pepper works out. It's not an exact science, ladies and gentlemen, so just roll with me here. But what I have found, typically your average bell pepper is a cup. So remember that. We'll come back to that in a little bit. And what I didn't show you on the green onions, 4 green onions on average is a cup. Again, remember on average, but just keep that little tidbit in the back of your mind and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Finished up the bell pepper. See how pretty that is? Another point on the bell pepper, similar to the green onions, you may have a recipe that calls for strips of bell pepper. You know, like where you cut it in half and then just cut it in long strips. I don't worry about that. I chop it all up. It goes in what I'm going to show you in a few minutes and we're done with it. If that's important to you, then when you do that recipe, get a fresh bell pepper and cut it in strips. Your kitchen, do what you want to do. All right, last thing, and I promise y'all, I'm trying to keep these videos short. I'm either one long-winded heifer or I just have unrealistic expectations. Don't even comment. I know you can't see this, it's backwards. Mahaffey Farms, Haughton, one of my favorite farms on the planet. I use a lot of their stuff. This is what's called bacon ends. So you see that? It's like where the bacon comes from, but it got to the point that it can't really be sliced into pieces of bacon, so it just gets chunked in a package. I use these a lot. Reason being, they're not as expensive as regular sliced bacon that you're going to, cook for breakfast, but it's the exact same effect. So when I am doing a recipe that needs pieces of bacon, cut up bacon, and if you follow me along in these videos, you'll see that I like and use a lot of bacon. I am a pig eating machine, and I'm all about some pork. So bacon is used in a lot of what I do, lard, bacon grease, and the actual bacon. So anyway, I go through a decent amount of bacon ends. So I'm just cutting this up in little pieces. Let me flip this down for just a second. Then we'll pause while I finish cutting it all up, and then I'll show you what you've been on the edge of your seat waiting for. So anyway, there you go. See, just little bitty chunks, again, however you want it, similar to the bell pepper and the green onion. All right, I'll be back. And let me show you something here. I just flipped the camera back on. Some of the pieces are going to be really fatty, like that, and then some of the pieces are going to be really meaty. So with what we're doing with it, that works out great. So it's going to get a good balance. So don't get freaked out if you start cutting into it and you're like, oh my gosh, it's all fat. It'll all balance out. So it's not a big deal. And while I was sitting here cutting this up, I just remembered something I thought is comical and was going to share with y'all while you get to watch me cut bacon. Exciting stuff, I know. Back in a prior life when I worked in corporate America, yeah, can you picture this in a suit and sitting in a conference room with a fancy nickel title and all that? But anyway, it was real, it happened. My husband used to do grocery shopping for me, and I'd make him these big fat honking lists. This was pre-restaurant, so I cooked like a maniac at home because that was my favorite thing to do. So I was always making ginormous grocery lists, and he'd go, bless his heart, do the shopping. Well, he was shopping one day because I was cooking. I don't even remember now what I was cooking, but the recipe called for lardoons. Well, I knew what it was, so I just made an assumption and went on. Well, he's all over the grocery store, can't find the lardoons, talking to the produce manager, talking to the butcher, talking to the stock clerk, talking to everybody. What the heck's a lardoon? Nobody knows. So he finally calls me, and we had this little system that, I was forever in a meeting, because that's all you do when you're in corporate America is meet, to talk about meeting, to talk about your next meeting. But anyway, I'm in a meeting, and my assistant walks in, and she's like, Eddie's on the phone. And I'm thinking, what? I can't. I don't have time for this. She said, he says it's really important. So I'm like, excuse me. I step out, go out to her desk, get on the phone, and the question is, baby, I can't find the lardoons and nobody knows what they are. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's what you drug me out for? Okay, so let me enlighten you, like this little tidbit's ever gonna make a difference in your life, but lardoons are bacon ends and pieces. That is just the British term or bacon ends and pieces. Don't ask me where it came from. I don't know, but that's what it means. So there you go. Throw that on your grocery list, freak your husband out or wife, and blow the mind of the butcher, which is kind of interesting. You'd think they would know that, but whatever. So that's my funny story for the day. That's been a joke for years around here. Yeah, send Eddie to the store for Lardoons. But anywho, I'm babbling. Let me finish this up, and then I'll tell you why we did all this. So this will be the part of the story that you're really going to be interested in. Okay, let me show you this. There was one piece of bacon in the end of that bacon ends package, and I cut it up. See, look at this. You can't really tell the difference. If anything, the Lardoons, the bacon ends were a little bit meatier. So I just wanted to show you that, just so you see what the deal is with the bacon ends and pieces. See, there you go. Doesn't that look yummy? All right, here is the point. I'm just going to stick this wax paper here because I'm not going to stop and take time to go clean my cutting board. What we're going to do with this stuff, again, think meal prep ahead, make my life easier. We're going to package it up and freeze it. So let me show you what we're going to do. So remember I was saying 4 green onions makes a cup, 1 bell pepper makes a cup. What I do is either bag or wrap. I've got these little wax paper thingies. I'm not a big plastic fan, so I try not to use this, but I've done it for a long time. So we're going to take a 1/2 cup of green onions and put it in a bag. Kind of flatten it out, zip that, roll it up tight, finish closing it. Bam, that goes in the freezer. 1/2 cup of green onions. And then bell pepper. I'll show you how I do the little burrito roll with the bell peppers. So I have a 1/4 cup measure here because my 1/2 cup has sprouted legs and walked off. I own a restaurant and still can't keep up with my stuff. Put this around. So this is going to be like practice your burritos. It's a little easier to get down at the end. Do this, and do that. Bam. 1/2 cup of bell pepper, which equals 1/2 bell pepper. That'll go in the freezer. And then for the bacon, we're going to do it by ounces. You're going to put 4 ounces in a bag. And let me get up here. I promise y'all I'm trying to make this quick and it just seems to go on and on. But the point in this is you just keep bagging all this up. So I had 3 bell peppers I chopped up. So if a bell pepper is a cup and you do it in 1/2 cup measurements, I'm going to wind up with 6 of these little pouches or 6 Ziploc bags. Then I'm going to put those down in a gallon Ziploc bag and stick it in my freezer. So then when I'm cooking supper and I'm working on a recipe and it says 1 bell pepper, I go to the freezer and I pull out 2 bags. Ha-ha, ta-da. I also will mark in my cookbook or on my recipe card 1 cup, just because I don't like this 1 bell pepper, 1 piece of a vegetable. They're all different. They weigh different. They're different sizes. So it's just the way my brain works. I want a little more consistency, so I convert everything. If it says, you need 4 green onions, then I go get 2 packages, which is a cup. So that's how I do it for that. And having a full Ziploc bag full of this stuff in my freezer makes cooking so much easier at the time I'm getting ready to do it. Same thing with the bacon. If it says 4 pieces, here's your little tip. Typically, a pound of bacon is going to be 16 slices, typically. So each piece is an ounce. Because you got a pound, which is 16 ounces, you got 16 slices, that's a piece is an ounce. So you can convert that. 4 pieces is going to be 4 ounces. 4 ounces is a 1/2 cup. So, I'm kind of doing volume and weight interchangeably, which, again, is not, technical chef stuff. But it's the way I do things. Just makes it easier. So I'm going to bag all this up, package it up, put it in my gallon Ziploc bags, show y'all one last picture so you can visualize that. And then there you go. You have prepped ingredients in your freezer, ready to rock. If there's other vegetables you use a lot, you can do the same thing. Just be careful with them. If they're very watery, stuff like celery doesn't freeze great. It will, but since it's mostly water, it tends to, I don't know, just kind of break down a little bit and turn a little brown. It's not real pretty. It's still fine. You can dump it in a soup or a stew or a casserole and no one will ever know. But it's just not going to come out as pretty. Bell pepper, all your colors. I wrap yellow, green, orange, red, separate little packages, stick it in the freezer. So there's all kinds of things you can cut up and use. These are just some basics that I use a lot that I want to make sure I always have on hand, and that I'm not having to stop when I'm trying to do a recipe and cut up a bell pepper or slice up some green onions. So hang loose, and I'll be back for one last little picture, and then we'll wrap this long booger up. Okay, we are wrapping it up. So here's my bacon. I've got four 4-ounce packages, and I did this by weight as opposed to by volume. So I've got a little kitchen scale and I weighed them. So remember, my conversion, I'm just going to put it that way, is 1 piece of bacon is 1 ounce. So that's going to be 4 slices of bacon because it's a 4-ounce package. So if you have a recipe that calls for 4 pieces, there you go. If it calls for 2, break it in half. I mean, it's chopped up, so it barely has to thaw for you to just snap off what you need and put the rest back in the freezer. Or if you need a pound, get 2 packages. Super simple. Here's our bell pepper. We had 3 bell pepper. We've got 6 packages. These are ½ cup. And I know you can't read this, it's backwards. But I just put on there bell pepper, ½ cup, bacon, 4 ounces. And then the green onion I did in the Ziploc bags. Again, ½ cup. So all this goes in the freezer. When I'm cooking, I pull out what I need and I keep rocking, and it makes things so much faster and so much easier. This morning, my son's at work, my husband's on the deer stand, so I've got the house to myself, I have my music playing, and I'm doing some prep. And it's very nice and easy and relaxing, got my little cup of coffee. So try that, see if that helps you out, because during the week, or when you're pressed for time, having this kind of stuff done makes a huge difference. And I had an epiphany as I was packaging all this stuff up. I felt like I was talking so fast trying to wrap this video up because I originally wanted to keep it under 10 minutes. And it's like, I'll keep it under 15 minutes. And I thought, just chill. I want this to be something meaningful and helpful. I am going to try and keep them short, but if it goes a little bit longer than I wanted or than you think it needs to go, I apologize. But I don't want to talk so fast, it doesn't matter. And this isn't one of those goofy cooking shows where I'm trying to make a 5-course meal out of a box of Fruit Loops and a filet mignon and some dryer lint or whatever. So I'm going to do my best to keep them short, but we're just going to go with it. So I hope this was helpful. If you have questions or comments, throw them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer, and y'all have a great day.